Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's cataloging advisory. My name is Cynthia Romanowski, and I am the Bibliographic Services Manager here at SWAN. We have a little bit of an action-packed agenda, so I'm just gonna bring it up. 1 second. There we go. So as you can see, we have an in-person meeting update for the cataloging libraries, authority file update, we did some editing to our web pages. So we're going to highlight those so you are aware of them. Some 245, 246 consistencies that came along, read-alongs, volume book series numbers that we're going to have to kind of hash out a little bit, SWAN Expo sessions, and open discussions. And then our next meeting will be July 11th. So the in-person meeting is Tuesday, May 14th at 10 a.m. for our cataloging libraries. And it is, yes, it's just for our 18 cataloging libraries. And one of the things that I have for that is two main goals. So one of them is our MarChive configuration. Now, MarChive is what I export our bibliographic records for the month to. And in return, we get some cleaned up bibliographic records as well as authority files. So we do get a monthly authority files that are associated with those bibliographic records that we do. So that way, you know, we have to look at that. Our contract is, or not our contract, yeah, it is our contract. And there's some config stuff that I want to go over with the cataloging library members to ensure that we're having MarChive do what we really want them to do. The second one is I want us to be able to walk away with a document that's going to be like a living document, and we're actually going to post this on our website of the responsibilities and expectations of what it means to be a cataloging library. This is basically comes from the group. I've had some requests for this, and this is a good way for us to work together as a team of cataloging libraries and SWAN, not just SWAN and then the cataloging libraries, or one cataloging library and then the other 17. It's for us to kind of get together as a team and figure out what is the expectations of when you become a cataloging library. What is it that, you know, when we're doing this, what is expected of these libraries? It's literally right there, and we're going to create this document together. So if you're a cataloging library on this call, get your thinking caps together. Caps going on, I mean, or put on, I should say. I can't talk today. And kind of think about what it is that when you're doing cataloging in your library, what is it that you're doing? Because what we're doing is impacting the other libraries. And so we need to be on the same page in order for the catalog to be consistent. Authority file update. So the last time we had a meeting, we were in the process of loading the latest MarChive authority file that we get biannually. Each file has about like more than about 30,000 authority files in it. And because I walked in to find a problem, we didn't get to load all of the authority files until my team and I cleaned up the existing authority files. So when we got that file cleaned up, we were able to start loading all of the 90,000 files that we had. And because authority files kind of throw a huge wrench in the time frame of the nightly index, we had to do it in slow chunks. So we finished the January file And so now we have a fresh, we put in about 90,000, over 90,000 authority files in a little over over a 6-month time frame. So that was a lot of data going in. But now that we're caught up, we have our monthly Marchive one that I mentioned earlier, that comes with them. And that is a little better because it's generally about 12 to 1,500 authority files that come in. And these are authority files that are specific to the bid records that you all are cataloging on that monthly basis. So what we've been doing now is with that 90K, we've been doing some manual cleanup. And without going into too much detail, currently there is no way for us to, in our type of dual subject heading environment, meaning dual meaning we have LCSH and then we also have mesh, we cannot use the global headings change function. So we're doing a lot of the manual cleanup for that. So yeah, that's fun. I will talk more about the authority file update at the in-person cataloging meeting, because there's going to be some stuff that we'll be able to look at as a group and go from there. So the web pages. So I don't know when the last time anybody looked at our documentation, but we do have an annual review of the documentation. And some of the cleanup work that we have done has been, like, the major work has been done, you'll see on there, but we basically touched other things. So I'm going to turn it over to Sam. And I have the acquisitions up. Sam, if you want to chime in.
Sure. Yeah, like Cynthia said, we do this review annually, so we're always making sure. I mean, we update documentation constantly throughout the year, but once a year we really turn a critical eye. And this year we had some new functionality within the website to kind of explore. So one of the pages that Cynthia's about to click on, that one right there, the Symphony Acquisitions Configuration Funds and Vendors. Previously, we had a web page and then child pages underneath it for these things for session settings and funds and vendors. And we instead turned it into this kind of nice accordion feature to kind of clean it up, make things a little more concise. Where it made sense to condense things in this way, we did. So not a lot of pages were updated in this manner, but where it seemed like a good choice, we went ahead with that. So just showing some new functionality that we have there and things you'll see as you navigate through the documentation. Did do a lot of edits in general, just cleaning things up, making sure things were accurate, finding small little mistakes that might have been there. But I also did, for acquisitions documentation, rename the 9XX mark order loading, the EDI ordering, and the EDI invoicing web pages. Previously, they were a little more wordy, and they said things like EDI ordering, sending orders electronically to your vendors, and EDI invoicing, downloading invoices from vendor sites, things like that. I wanted things to match more what you see elsewhere in Symphony and in all of our other resources. So we cleaned up that verbiage, and those were the major changes for acquisitions.
All right, thank you, Sam. For cataloging, I added a section for Mark Listener. So these are the steps for the cataloging libraries. If you need to reconnect to your Mark Listener, bring it up on another machine or for another user. We have screenshots back here, but I wanted to draw your attention to this one thing is I did not feel comfortable, and nor did my ITSS feel comfortable us advertising this information. And so because you need to contact us if you do not have the local system authorization, this is a good way to get you to contact us. So we have to create this stuff behind the scenes if you're not set up on Mark Listener. I think I saw Emily Parker on here, so welcome, Emily. Hopefully we'll be able to get you set up with Mark Listener. But these are nice screenshots just in case you forget. I have the records characteristics and the field export options available for you to go back and review. So Joy, you're asking me if I could add OCLC gateway to the Mark Listener description as what is seen in OCLC. I'm not sure what, like that. I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay, basically, because the process from OCLC, they're calling it the OCLC gateway. If you
Right there.
Scroll down, yes. And so basically, when you say Mark Listener, I have no idea what you're talking about, because when I'm in OCLC, I'm seeing the gateway. It's like Mark
Okay,
Listener
so-
is the Cersei Dynex terminology.
Yes.
And so it's like, I think just somewhere it needs to be listed that when you're in OCLC, you're looking for the gateway, because if you're looking for Mark Listener, you're not going to find it.
So in this, it is a Cersei Dynex. Mark Listener is a Cersei Dynex product. And when we've been setting up the newer libraries on it, we've been calling it Mark Listener. So that might be what you have it called in your system and your files, which I blocked out on mine, so we didn't share. But I've been encouraging people to call it Mark Listener. So that might be where the thing, because you were set up so long ago.
Yeah, because
On
I
it,
still remember
and
I've been
so-
doing this for over 30 years, and with our prior ILS, they refer to it as the OCLC gateway. I don't know what their process was called, but even if you have someone coming in who has experience, they're going to go, what's Mark Listener? Because there again, that's proprietary. Whereas, everyone who uses OCLC is familiar with gateway.
So what I can do is probably put next to this. So would it be fair if I put next to this in parentheses OCLC gateway?
Yes, I think
Okay.
that would be extremely helpful.
Okay. I will make that change. So we have that. So the next person, I am going to turn it over to Claudia.
Good morning, everyone. Can you please go back to the PowerPoint, Cynthia?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I reviewed all the cataloging documentation and I fleshed out a lot of the pages, enhanced, put additional information. So when you have time, if you can visit the catalog documentation on the website and give me your feedback, if there's anything you would like me to add. I fleshed out the non-English materials page. I reviewed all the MARC field reference pages, added a bunch of information to those pages. I wanted them to match what I say in the self-paced courses. So everything is uniform and standard. So when you have time to take a look at those, I appreciate that. I reviewed the creating precats page, creating precats for audiovisual materials, the local practices and cataloging. All the child pages in that page were reviewed and added information. So if you see anything that's missing or you want me to expand, add more examples to something, I added a bunch of new examples here and there. So yeah, I appreciate that. I just wanted to let you know there's new documentation there for your review.
And for those, like these are all under our documentation cataloging. And then these are the areas that Claudia is referring to. So thank you, Claudia. So you're up again.
And I am up again. Can you go to the next slide, please, Cynthia? Okay, so we are seeing a lot of inconsistencies in the 245 tag and the 246 tag when it comes to series. So I put in an older example here, but for example, Pokemon with the volume abbreviated, then the next volume 5 has the volume spelled out. So when you see this type of inconsistencies, please report to Swan and we will correct serious statements, the 245 and 246, because we do want to have that very consistent and standard. So my advice is if you're cataloging, for instance, a volume 6 of a certain title, look how volume 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 were cataloged and report any inconsistencies that you see. Just take that extra time at that 20 seconds to look for the previous titles to see how they have been cataloged. As a reminder, volume, part, and book must be spelled out in the 245 tag. The word number can be abbreviated. And I put an example there of how the Pokemon should be the 245 and then the 246. We're noticing many inconsistencies in the way the 246 tag has been cataloged. And also for the local materials, I didn't put an example here, but like for Library of Things, if you always spell out your library's name in the 245 tag, continue with that practice. If you abbreviate in the 246, just make things standard that will look good in the public side of the catalog and will be easy to find in workflows.
Hey, Claudia, it's Carrie from
Hi, Carrie.
Batavia. So if our material does not say volume, it only has the number, we still can just put the number.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Just put the number. And if you see like the previous previous volumes have the word book or part or number, send a ticket and we'll take a look and correct those previous records. We just want everything standard. Is that clear, Carrie?
Yes, I usually go by what it says on the book. So sometimes it's just easier just to put the number, but I do what I'm supposed to, so.
Right, okay. And that's me again. So about the Vox and other read-alongs, this type of materials use a 590 other audio. So we can go to the next slide, Cynthia, please. And actually, this is the page on the website that I have not updated because I was waiting for this meeting to discuss with you all. I put in this slide what's in the documentation right now that maybe 2 years ago, we had a discussion with the cataloging advisory, and we all decided that read-along materials, this includes a Vox, Wonderbook, and others, they're primarily audio materials. And at the time, it was consistent with the majority of records in OCLC. Catalog records should follow audiobook conventions using record type I. And in the absence of an OCLC record for sound recordings, you could choose to derive the book record and create the sound recording, blah, 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 blah. So this is what we have on the sports site right now. However, more often, I have been seeing records for read-along materials that are type A, like text materials for books, and these records are being exported into workflows. So we have read-alongs with type A and read-alongs with type I, and they take the 590 other audio. At the moment, this does not impact the way they display in Aspen, but since I'm working on the documentation and I got hung up on this page, I want to discuss with you guys. It is my opinion that we should continue cataloging these records as non-musical sound recording, but I see so many records in workflows as text material that I want to hear your opinion. Because let's say in the future, suddenly we change from Symphony workflows to another library system, that might have an impact in the future. So I want to hear your opinion. Sometimes you find records in OCLC for read-alongs that are text, record type A. Is it too much trouble to derive that record to create a record type I? So I want to hear from you guys your opinion on this, and I will update the documentation accordingly.
Yeah, Claudia, this is Joy. You know, I have an opinion.
Mhm.
Um,
Imagine
according-
that.
yes, big surprise there. According to OCLC, quality control, the bib records are supposed to be, non-musical.
Mhm.
And whenever I am working on those, if I cannot change it, I am sending in a error to OCLC to have them change it to the audio, to the non-musical sound recording. You should not be creating a new record in OCLC just because we want it to be an audio book and somebody created as a book. You should be sending in an error to OCLC saying that, hey, whoever created this did this wrong, please make this change. Because I actually created a document so that all I have to do is copy and paste, because I state, you know, per the Ask QC meeting on March 8th, 2022, Wonderbook should be coded as spoken audio. I receive a not authorized to change error message, and please change these following, you know, the following fixed fields.
Okay,
And
great.
then if there's multiple records, I also say there are several records with, you know, that ISBN that should probably be merged to that particular record.
But in the meantime, if you have the item you wanted to circulate, so you're not bringing the
Okay,
old CLC
Right,
record
you
until
can
they
make the,
update.
you can still make the changes.
And
You
bring it
make the
over.
changes
Okay.
and bring it over. You can't necessarily
Mhm.
save your changes. And there
Gotcha.
again, I know some people may not have the same permissions because I am a NACO library, so I may have more permissions. But I thought that, you know, for the expert community, they had lifted some of those restrictions. But if it's certain encoding level, you can't always change it. And so then basically, instead of creating a new record, you just send in an error message to OCLC stating this is what's wrong with the record, please correct it. And they have.
Okay. Sounds good to me. So I am going to update the documentation where it says, in the absence of an OCLC record for sound recordings, I am going to add here that you should report the error to OCLC. Do the cataloging libraries, does everyone know how to report errors to OCLC? So in OCLC, you're going to action and then report error. I will put that information here too. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. Yes, action report error. So what Joy was saying, you're going to do all the necessary edits in the record, bring it into workflows, and then report the error to OCLC if you cannot update the record to a non-musical sound recording. So I will add all this information to the Vox and Read Along page on the support site, and then I'll send to all of you who are in this meeting today so you can take a look at the documentation. I'll send you the link. Anyone else have an opinion about this? Or it makes total sense. I like the solution. Yeah, I don't like the idea of deriving another record and just creating a duplicate record in OCLC because somebody decided to catalog as a text material. Is that clear for everyone?
And Claudia, I put in the chat the text of what I put into the report error message.
Excellent. Thank you. I will add that to the documentation too. When you're reporting error, please add the following information. All right, I think we are all set on this then. Thank
Okay.
you.
So here's another one that we kind of need a one way or the other. So it kind of ties into what Claudia was talking about as far as consistency. So one of the things that we're having is in this authority file cleanup that we are doing, we're coming across a lot of inconsistencies of whether there should be a number, there shouldn't be a number. Some people are putting in it a number, some people aren't putting in it a number. In this particular case, the authority file doesn't list putting in a volume number, book number, or whatever. But I want to gather from the libraries here on what we should be doing as a cataloging group. Because we want consistency, and catalogers love consistency. And I want to be able to say, doesn't matter what the authority file says, we put volume numbers. We follow what the authority file says. And if the authority file says, put a volume number, book number, how to format that volume number, book number, then we follow what the authority file says. So I kind of want to start that responsibilities in the whatnot document kind of now, and say, this is what we're doing, and then we can put this on our website, and then from here on out, no matter, turnover or forgetfulness, and you have a place to go to find that information. I just want us to get it nailed down so that when we're making all of these fixes, then we're being consistent too, so that everybody's on the same page. So what are your thoughts? Where are you all landing? Yeah.
Okay,
Carrie.
it's Carrie from Batavia. Are you still bringing in series into the online catalog? Because there was so many inconsistencies there that weren't matching what we had in workflows. So that's just another layer to this.
So
Do you understand what I'm saying?
no, are you talking about the difference between Aspen and this catalog?
Yes, because somehow there were series were getting added to Aspen that weren't consistent with the series we were putting in workflows.
Okay, so that is Claudia, and you can chime in on this because I'm going to either confuse them. I think
Yeah.
Novelist was responsible for
Mm-hmm.
the series, and we are trying to get it to be our series. Am I right, Claudia? Because it's been a
Yes.
while since we brought that up with.
Yes, so Carrie Novelist was bringing those series number, and we have changed the configuration with Bywater. So if there is a series number in workflows, that will supersede whatever series number is coming from outside sources.
Well, and sometimes it wasn't just the numbering, it was the name of the series was inconsistent.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that supposedly stopped too. And I did some testing with some weird series I had, and I did not see them there anymore. So if anyone noticed anything, please send us a ticket, because we are monitoring the series statements in Aspen. So yeah, just let us know. But I had quite a few series that were now like real series and should not display in Aspen, because you will click on that and it would lead nowhere, or very like inconsistent page. So yeah, just let us know. But as far as I know, that problem has been resolved.
Okay, because I haven't worked on this for a while, but
Mhm.
my only thinking is I like the numbers because it's helpful to patrons. Because if what we're putting in here is what is going into Aspen, we know patrons want to read stuff in order. So I like having the numbers. Maybe we can be consistent that we get our numbering. If it's not there, we get it from Novelist or somewhere. But I'm trying to think of this as what's best for a patron. And they like the numbers.
Okay, this is Joy. I have started to create series authority records. I'm under review. I've created 20 so far, about 20. I'm really good on the Harlequin series romances, which is a total thrill for my academic advisor. And I will tell you, especially with the Harlequin romances, that for their sub-series, they don't always number the titles in the series. The only way to find the title is to either go to the author's site, Harlequin, or Amazon. And so with that, is everyone going to check out those 3 potential locations to find the number before they bring in the record from OCLC? Because that's part of, I think, where our inconsistency has come from, is that there are some libraries who get the vendor records and they spot check them, and so they don't see that there's a series and there's supposed to be a number. And, you know, so a lot of times we're accepting just what somebody did in OCLC, and not everyone takes that extra step to check one of those 3 sites to find out whether or not there's supposed to be a number. Because otherwise, I do agree it is helpful for the patrons. But I'm just wondering the feasibility of all 18 libraries taking those extra steps.
So to me, I'm kind of a purist, and I follow what the authority file says. But that's because of the different types of libraries that I've worked at. It has not been really part of the consortiums in the sense that this type of consortium is. And we don't, I predominantly worked in academics, and this wasn't really that much of an issue because of the type of material that we had in academia, or in the academia world. But I think if you all are not, if the cataloging libraries on here are not ready to say 1, 2, 3, go, we're doing it this way, we can pick this discussion back up in our in-person meeting next month, and then we document it then. This way you all can have a little bit of time to think about it if you're not ready to say the majority of us want to go this way, and kind of go from there. This is not, like I said, this is a team. I look at us as a team. I don't look at us as Swan is saying this and we're to do it. There's many reasons to keep it where we're putting the volume there simply for sorting purposes. And you can see even when there's inconsistency sometimes with, in Claudia's example, I don't know if you noticed, when it has a, you know, if this was a capital M and all of that stuff, the sorting kind of gets distorted in workflows. But, you know, if we're going to start using our stuff more for Aspen, then we need to make sure that we have consistency for exactly what Carrie said. You know, the patrons, the patron interface, they know it by the number. I've always looked at cataloging as what Joy is talking about, and really do my due diligence, and I go scouring the internet, and I will look for the best sources for me to get the series. And invariably, I always start with finding the author's page first, and then going to the vendors. So Colleen had asked us to probably say this for next month's meeting. I am willing to do that. Again, one of those things to add to getting your thinking caps on of what it is that we need to kind of rein in and standardize for cataloging libraries. So we will table it and bring it back up in next month's meeting. And Joy, Victoria Bitters has a question for you in the chat if you would be willing to respond to her. No, thank you, Joy. So if there is nothing further to add to that, we will go on to the next part. And that is our Swan Expo. So our Swan Expo is going to be taking place on August 23rd, 2024. And we're doing a call for proposals. There is a site here, and I may be able to pull it up. Look at that. And you just have to go through, and these are the different types of presentations that are, if you want to do. It's nice little, it fills in, you just have to select your library and the different type of presentation that you want to do, any of the panelists and everything like that. But we are asking that if you all want to participate. I know a lot of you have some great ideas. Some of the stuff that you can talk about. One of the things that we've got in response or some feedback from last year's expo is people wanting to know more about weeding and withdrawing, and what was your thought process if you had a large withdrawing project. How did you determine what materials you were going to withdraw aside from circulation count? Because it could be a classic book and you want to keep that classic book even though it might not be substantial today. I know in the academic world, we had the research library list that, even though it's like one of those lists that all academic libraries should have, and because they're foundational books, but is there something in your library that you feel like you should have, even though, because it's like a foundational book, that sort of thing. So if you have projects like that, I know people have been doing some remodeling in their libraries. How have you handled remodeling? Like, what was your project management steps? What would you do differently? That sort of thing. If you want to give a presentation on it, or something else that you are doing in your area or in your library that is not necessarily cataloging related, but is kind of fun for your the rest of the libraries, that you want to showcase all your hard work, and put a ticket in for, or put a proposal in for that. But really, we're trying to get that kind of nailed down for the summer. And so definitely give us some presentations that you want to do. So, and the final part is open discussion. So are there any questions that anyone has or wants to go back? Victoria, I think you were saying, I think Claudia answered your question, but if you have further questions about the in-person meeting next month, definitely feel free to put more questions in the chat. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and stop the recording then if there's nothing more, and